So in this video here, we're going to see how we can use Docker with Ultralytics. Could be that you just want to spin it up as fast as possible, use it cross-platform, maybe in the cloud as well. We can just have a Docker image, pull that, we can do the training, inference, and everything in there. You don't have to deal with dependencies, different versions not working, setting up CUDA and everything. If you want to train on GPUs, we can just pull the Docker image, spin up a Docker container, and then we can run the exact same commands in there. So it's basically just a separate system that we're running on top of our hardware. So this has a lot of different advantages and so on. Right now, if we go inside the Ultralytics documentation, we go inside our guides tab, we pretty much have all the guides available. If I just zoom a bit out, this is all the guides available. You can find a lot of the resources. We have videos covering pretty much all of it, so definitely make sure to check those out. If you scroll a bit further down, we should be able to find the Docker somewhere. So we have our Docker quick start. So there is an Ultralytics Docker image from Docker Hub that you can pull directly. So right now, let's just go in and grab that one. So we'll just open up the link, have Docker Hub, and then we have our Ultralytics package. So this is the exact same thing as you can see inside GitHub, how we can install it, use it, and so on. But this is basically just an image that we can spin up and use. You can go through the guide here. I'm going to walk you through the different steps and show you how we can set it up as well. If you want to use NVIDIA, we need to make sure that we have NVIDIA drivers installed on our system in our Linux environment, or if you're using Windows or whatever, we need to run this NVIDIA SMI command to start with, and then we can check if it's actually available. You can also run it on CPU, you can run it on any type of hardware. Just if you want to have the NVIDIA acceleration, we need to run these commands. So first of all, install NVIDIA Docker runtime. So we curl the NVIDIA package repositories, then we install the NVIDIA Docker runtime. So it's basically just NVIDIA Docker 2 with sudo apt get installed on a Linux system. And then we need to restart our Docker service. So you can have Docker desktop on your computer as well. Just go in here, Docker desktop. You can install this one here as well, pull the image directly here, run a container, and then it's actually like running on your system. So it's very good to get familiar with Docker if you want to build systems, deploy systems, but also just work across different platforms, not deal with all dependencies, versions not working together, and all that. So this is very important. Definitely go in and check this out, get familiar with it. So then we restarted, we verified that we have NVIDIA's runtime with Docker. Just run these commands here step by step, and then we can run our Docker container. So here, using only the CPU, we can just sudo docker run, and here with our GPU, and then we can run Ultralytics inside the Docker container. So right now, I'm basically just going to show you how we can pull the image. So let's grab this one here. So open up a new terminal. There we go. We set our variable. Let's pull the Docker image. Let's make sure our Docker desktop is running. Docker, I'm going to run the app. We specify the password. So now we're going to start the Docker engine. Then we have all the images, volumes, and the containers that's running in here. So here we'll have our image from Ultralytics. We can also search for it here. Ultralytics, and we can see it's right here. So we can either run it or pull it. Let's just run it now. This is if you don't want to use the terminal, you can do it directly inside Docker desktop as well. So right now it'll just take a time, but it's actually going to spin up the container and then we can use it, but we're doing it here in the terminal in the exact same way. There we go. I think it should be good now, it looks like, and then we can go down and run it without GPU on CPU. I'm on my MacBook right now, but it's the exact same stuff as if you're doing it on a GPU. Just make sure that you have NVIDIA runtime up and running first. It couldn't find the Ultralytics latest locally, so it's just going to go to the Docker Hub and pull it there. So this is the exact same thing it's doing now here in the terminal, but also inside my Docker desktop. Refresh it, still spinning up. If you scroll a bit further down, then we can see that we can run with all GPUs. Another very important point when we run Docker containers is that it doesn't have access directly to our hardware, file system, webcam, and so on. So we need to spin that up. And also if you want to run a graphical user interface, get the inference results when we show it when we run inference, we need to be able to connect that up as well. So if we go a bit further down, we see we have Docker volume. So we actually need to connect our own local directory with a container. So that's how we can do it like this. We just specify -v, and then we can set our host path. So this is a directory on our host, and then we have our container path. Then these two here will be connected, and then we can start access files. So that could be a video file, could be a weight file that we have on our local machine that we want to use inside our Docker container. Again, with Ultralytics, it's going to download the model automatically, but if you have a fine-tuned one that you want to pull, this is how we can do it. So if you're running this on Linux, we can see that we have X11, so X Windows system, and also Wayland. So if you're running it on a Linux system, you can just run these commands and spin it up like this with either X11 or Wayland. We have another video where we go through how to set it up on a NVIDIA Jetson, so definitely make sure to check that video out. And then I'm showing how we can spin up the Docker container, but also access the video stream when we run our inference. Then using Docker with GUI, we can just run this and we can hit our show. But if you specify show and we don't have a GUI up and running, we cannot see the results because it's not connected to our computer. So right now we can actually just go in and run predict. Let's see if it's done running it in here, pulling the image. So right now we can see it's almost finished up. If you want to revoke access to the Docker container, let's make sure that you run this. Again, this is highly experimental. It is on your own risk and so on, but this is how you can go in and access the file system and also make a connection so you have a graphical user interface. So this is pretty much everything. We just need to wait until it has cloned the rest here. So we still need 3.5 gigabyte. See if it's ready in here. So now we can see that it has pulled the image. It ran the Docker container as well. So now instead of the path in my other terminal, now we act like inside our Docker container and can run all these other different commands. Let's try to grab the predict and the model, and then it's gonna basically pull the model automatically in here. So have a YOLO predict. Missing argument source, so we're just going to use the default source, but you can specify any source. Result saved to Ultralytics run. Let's run the ls command. We can see we have our runs directory. Let's cd into that. We're pretty familiar with the format. The runs. You can cd into detect. And this is where it's very useful to have a GUI so we can actually see our results, pull all the stuff, and basically just see our inference running. But again, if you're just training a model, we connect volumes. We can just use the cloud to train it as well, and it will save the model. We can use that in our own applications and projects on our own machines. So I predict ls, and then we have our output image here. So this is pretty awesome. Definitely make sure that you go in, use Docker if it's suitable for your application and the stuff that you're doing. It's very important to be familiar with how Docker works, when you should use it, and you can just go through each step here. It's pretty easy. Pull the image, run Docker container, run the YOLO commands, and you're good to go. No hardware, no dependencies, no versions. You don't need to take care of any of it or operating systems. So I hope you learned a ton this video here. Hope to see you guys in one of the upcoming videos. Until then, happy learning.